Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Madhava Kunya Vihari Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Raja Janarandana Nana Raja Janarandana Yasodanandana Raja Janarandana Nana Raja Janarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Kunya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Madhava Kunya Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Radha, Madan Mohan Radha, Madan Mohan Radha, Madan Mohan Sri Radhe. Hare Krishna. It is my special pleasure to introduce to all of you, both the devotees online as well as those here, the master of ceremonies for this year's Nityananda festival. It is Harisyam. Oh, he's already here. Wonderful. Harisyam, please zoom yourself into this.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Welcome, dear devotees, to our 4-day festival of Katha Association. We're about to be drenched by showers of mercy. We have so many surprises planned. So we'd like to really welcome Guru Maharaj and all the wonderful devotees to our festival today. Our program tonight, Guru Maharaj will begin to give a lecture in a few minutes on Lord Nityananda and Guru Tattva, a very relevant theme as we're celebrating both the appearance of Lord Nityananda as well as the appearance of our beloved Guru Maharaj. So our lecture tonight will be on Lord Nityananda and Guru Tattva. If any of you have any questions, please feel free to message them to me privately in the chat, But if you would like to also ask your question on the video, then our suggestion is you please write your question out. So when it's time for you to speak, it's right there for you, and you can just directly speak your question into the camera. So that's it. And then after the katha, please stay for a beautiful darshan of Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan. So don't leave once the katha is over. Please stay for the darshan and get the blessings of their lordships. So with that, Guru Maharaj, we invite you to please present your evening lecture.
May I first ask, where are you?
I am currently in Michigan, Guru Maharaj, in Ann Arbor.
Is this on this planet?
Yes, definitely on this planet. Yes, definitely on this planet, Guru Maharaj. But by your mercy, we will go to another planet this weekend.
Thank you very much. Good. Yes, as Harisyam has said, when we will talk today about Lord Nityananda, especially in relationship to the Guru Tattva. When I was putting the lectures together for this online festival, I was obviously thinking what could be a good theme and how can I bring everything together here. Lord Nityananda on one side and his wonderful gift of very merciful and accessible Krishna consciousness, and then the line which comes from him, a line with which we are all connected, either as disciples of Srila Prabhupada or as disciples of followers of Srila Prabhupada. We are all connected through a line of disciplic succession to Lord Nityananda and through him to the original Guru, Lord Balaram. And I thought this is a good entry point. Also, I must say, this festival for me is something very special. I had hoped really to make this festival a presence festival where all of us could come together in a room and dance and eat cake and be happy and joyful and all. And I sincerely regret that at this moment it is still not possible, but there is some ray of hope on the horizon that soon this unusual situation will be over. And I request you all, although you cannot be here in person and you may feel sad because of that, please try to be there as much as possible online, because I really feel I have something really important to share with all of you. And knowing about the subjects which I am about to present, I know it will give you strength, it will give you encouragement, it will give you a future, and so on. So yes, these lectures are building upon each other, so try to be there, and those lectures which you miss or those events which you miss, you can see them later. We will put them somewhere on this huge internet. There was something else which I wanted to say, but it just slipped my mind. It will come back again. So Welcome everyone to this festival. And although it is an online festival, mainly we will associate and have Sadhu Sangha, which is described to be the birthplace of Bhakti. We may sometimes feel we have become dry, or we have become withdrawn, or we have become somewhat distant to the experience of Bhakti. At that time, Sadhu Sangha, or having association in some form or other, will give rise to a new beginning in Bhakti. Yes, Sadhu Sangha happens mostly through the ear, not so much through the other parts of the body. The main organ to help us benefit from Sadhu Sangha is the ear. There were once 10 very glorious devotees, they are described in the Bhagavatam, who had a personal darshan of Lord Vishnu. They were the prachetas, and they told him, Tulayami lavinapi, nasvargam napur narbhavam, bhagavat sangi sangasya madhyanam kim utashisha. They said to Lord Vishnu, we so much appreciate having your darshan. It is the end goal of our spiritual endeavors. And we would like to share with you how this became possible in our opinion. It was because of the association of your devotee. We had association with Lord Shiva. And then they say, even a moment's association with devotees cannot be compared to anything in this world, not even to being transferred to the heavenly planets, or even merging into the Brahman effulgence in complete liberation. No, even a moment of association with devotees is uncomparable, because living entities who are destined to give up the body and die, for them the association of your devotees is the highest benediction. So what we try to do here is, this festival, try to somehow have association with the highest devotees of Srila Prabhupada, of Lord Nityananda, who's both a devotee and at the same time he's Balaram, he's the Lord's first expansion, he's God. We try to have these powerful associations, and we try to get a new spark in our spiritual life. There's a very nice prayer to Lord Nityananda and to Lord Caitanya, and I would like to open my classes with this prayer. I would like to ask you to repeat after me. Vande, Vande Sri Krishna Caitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda, Sahodito, Gododaye, Pushpavanto, Shitro, Shando, Tamonudo. I don't know if that worked for you on internet, but here it worked very nice. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. Now, usually sun and moon are rarely seen together. Maybe in the evening time we can see the sun and the moon on opposite quarters of the sky. But Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda were always together. The sun and the moon were always seen. They have arisen, these two, simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benedictions upon all. So this is the mission of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, to dispel the inner darkness in the heart of the living entity, and to wonderfully give all these living entities some benedictions so that they can move forward. Krishna shared with me a beautiful story which I would like to share. He was for book distribution out in Brussels and needed to follow nature's call. So he went through the library and then in the cellar because he knew there would be a clean toilet. And when he went inside, he saw the toilet man, you know, the one who sits at the table and collects the small amounts of money. And he was totally thinking, oh my God, he looks so much in need of mercy, and he has such a receptive mood. So when he went back through the library, he was just thinking of the toilet man. And maybe he thought of Jagai and Madai, who were also in a compromised situation. Imagine this man is all day, night I don't think, but all day in this room, and he has to negotiate the difficult smells, you know. So because Nityananda's appearance day is approaching, Gaunitai, so Krishna said, this toilet man needs the mercy. Any toilet man in the world needs the mercy. So he went back to the car and he got a huge stack of books. But remember, he had to go through a library. What would the library people say if he would come back and if he would go through the library with different non-library books? And versa even, what would they think if he would not distribute all the books, but go back with books? They would think he's a thief. So anyways, he thought Lord Nityananda's mercy must be given. The man was extremely happy, and it turned out he had already read a book, How to Control the Mind, because he understood if the mind is controlled, I will be happy even in the toilet. But if the mind is not controlled, I will be unhappy even in paradise. So he was interested in such subjects. And when Krishna presented the books and the subjects of the Gita and so on, he was very eager to take several books, not just the Gita and so on. And when Krishna went out now, the question was, how does he get the excess book? He had bought a whole, you know, Lord Nityananda is usually very merciful, he must have thought, so big quantity is necessary of books. So he brought some books back, and when he passed through, he thought it will make beep, beep, beep when I go out, and I will be convicted as a criminal and never come to Nityananda Trayodasi. But everything was easy. He could pass and come. Yes, the idea is, let us remember, Lord Nityananda gives the mercy not only to Jagai and Madais of this world, not only to toilet men and toilet persons, women, and everyone else. He is a specifically deputed incarnation to give mercy. Now, in order to properly understand Lord Nityananda, we must go a little bit back. We must go to Krishna. When Krishna steps to the right side, he becomes Balaram. And as Balaram, he is he's the Lord's first expansion, but he is also what we call in philosophy, he represents a certain truth, a tattva. That is the truth which surrounds the guru, which is carried by the guru. What is the truth? It is the Vedic scriptures which he speaks, which he exemplifies, and which he teaches to us in ways that are relevant for us and ways that help us to move forward. So the Guru Tattva is very, very important for conditioned souls. And Krishna is so kind that he has a special expansion who embodies this truth, who carries this truth, who's there in this truth. Wherever you find true truth in this world, you can see something is working here. It is the divine grace of the Lord. Therefore, we call the Prabhupada his divine grace, no? Krishna's divine grace, which has come in the world for the purpose of enlightening and energizing the sleeping conditioned souls. I always like to say the Guru is more than what you see. He carries something with him, a tattva, a truth that can enlighten us if we can somehow capture this truth, if we can somehow download it into our system, so to say, wherever we are. So Narottam Das Thakur has expressed, there are very many expansions, and I talked in, that lead to Lord Nityananda. I talked in the past about this. I will maybe touch it in later lectures, but here we want to be just very essential. Lord Nityananda is foretold and is described by Narottam Das Thakur. Narottam Das Thakur sings about him and Lord Caitanya. Dina hina jata chila harinama udharila tara sakshi jagai madai. By the holy name, Lord Caitanya and Nityananda have advised all the souls who are lonely and wretched. The two sinners, Jagai and Madai, are evidence of this. Now, of the two, Caitanya and Nityananda, Nityananda is usually seen to be more merciful. Anyone who can grab the mercy of Nityananda, he becomes very dear to Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who is dear to Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he becomes very dear to Radha and Krishna. There are many, many songs about Lord Nityananda. See, the truth is conveyed better through songs, because songs can carry emotion, and a poetic language is often more able to describe these high spiritual truths. And there was one poet, his name was Krishna Das, Sometimes these old poets give themselves names so that they remain anonymous. It could be well that behind this Krishna Das is a great soul who has another name, but he signed this poem with the name Krishna Das, and he sang Jaya Jaya Nityananda Rai Aparada Papa Mora Tahanyana in Ora. O Lord Nityananda, glory, glory to you. Jaya Jaya Nityananda. All glories to you. Please, when you see me, do not think of my sins, the offenses which I have done. Just overlook all this and kindly deliver me. I stand before you, I have to say, my heart is not good. My heart is very sinful. And there's another problem. It's not really attracted to the chanting of your holy names. I do not even like to think, to speak about these spiritual things. You know, I have seen in devotees talk, so many subjects are there, but very rarely we said, let us talk about Krishna. Okay, we can't talk about Krishna. Let us take a book and read about Krishna. No, there's so many subjects which are coming over our tongue each day. You just test yourself. So Krishna is very honest. He says, I do not like to speak about these things. Shame fills my mouth. And how many births and birth after birth did I kill the chance to make spiritual advancement? That is why I'm today in such a state. How relevant, no? Do we really take the full chance of which is offered to us? Do we take all the opportunities for our spiritual growth? Krishna says, I'm not very good. He says, but you know, I'm this, but you are that. You are an ocean of mercy. You are the friend of the sinners. If you give me up now, then your peerless and glorious reputation as Patita Pavana is only a great trick. And then he ends his poem. He says, how many Yavanas and other offenders have you already delivered? With my own ears, I have heard that you delivered many. It is the firm conclusion of Krishna Das, that if in your heart you do not hate me, then you will not push me away. Of course, Lord Nityananda, he has no evil intentions towards anyone. You know, just like a parent who doesn't take in account if his little boy or little girl is just sitting and does not want to speak with them, or in modern terms just looks at internet from morning till evening. The parent can never withdraw his good feelings from the child. It's just not possible. So in this way, Krishna Das pleads to Lord Nityananda. Today, someone from Mayapur was on the phone, very nice devotee, and asked me if he can do anything for me. And I said, yes, two things you can do for me. On Lord Nityananda's appearance day, please go to the Pancha Tattva and specifically to Lord Nityananda in the Pancha Tattva. He will be very nicely decorated on this appearance day. And please pay your most humble obeisances and pray to Lord Nityananda that he shows you his mercy. You want to do wonderful things for the Lord, but on your own steam, it will not be possible, but with Lord Nityananda's mercy. And then when you have finished praying for you, please pray for me. I know in the scriptures it is said that Lord Nityananda is just very, very kind to conditioned souls. In the Caitanya Charitamrita, we find this verse: Prema Mata Nityananda Kripa Avatara Uttama Adhama Kichu Nakore Vichara. Lord Nityananda is intoxicated by ecstatic love, and because he's constantly intoxicated, he's in another set of mind. He is an incarnation of mercy. He does not distinguish between the good and the bad. Well, you might ask, do I not have to do this something, or you know, how do I get this mercy? And wait a minute, I was in a previous Nityananda appearance day. Why have I not gotten this mercy? Why am I still where I am? The next verse might give an answer, what you can do and what you have not yet done. Karaye nishtara ateva nishtarila mohena duracha. He delivers all those, listen now, who fall down before him. Therefore, he has delivered such a sinful and fallen person as me. In my last lecture, I will tell you that in our spiritual life, we usually go through 3 stages. The first is when we start the process and we are really enthusiastic. Have you ever met a nude bhakta? Have you ever become convinced? Wow, he is enthusiastic. He's, wow, in a new dress, a new lifestyle, new type of eating, deities, holy name. I can't believe, and all these pure devotees around me. And so on. And he has been wondered, maybe, be surprised when one of these pure devotees came to him. Now you are enthusiastic, but in 10 years you are like me. Sometimes our devotees are very, maybe not so considerate of others. So this is the beginning stage. And he hears, by chanting the holy name, all your karma is just erased and you will obtain love of Godhead. But then if after a year this has not yet happened, and instead the devotees feels dryness in the heart, aridity, he becomes irritated. At that time, he will go to an older devotee. What can I do? I'm not yet blissfully situated in Krishna consciousness. And the older devotee will tell him, well, increase the quantity of your service and of your devotional service, your chanting. Or if you don't wish to do that, increase the quality. No? And maybe you are not performing enough. Maybe you just constantly eat too much and lie too much and have habits that are not really favorable for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. So increase a little bit, do a little tapasya, you know, just refrain a little bit from harmful things. And then the devotee does this, but still he doesn't feel completely blissful. At that time, the devotee goes into phase second. He does what most devotees do. He goes into compromise land. He compromises his effort. He still believes in Krishna, yes, but his practices become compromised. His chanting is compromised. His readiness to engage in service is compromised. And Netflix is also there. In the evening, it can give us some taste. He compromises. Or if he does not compromise, he rages against God. He turns against Krishna. He becomes bitter. He criticizes. He makes offenses on internet because they can quickly multiply there. And in this way, this is phase second. Either compromise, which most do, or becoming bitter. And then comes the third stage. Somehow, the devotee feels in his heart, well, when I was young and enthusiastic, I made all these efforts and they didn't bring me to the desired goal. Then I compromised or I became disappointed. But I don't know, in my heart or in my soul, I still feel a type of stirring, some movement, something that tells me you can, material life is not satisfying. Compromising is also not satisfying. There it is again, the voice. And then the devotee will say, I don't know how, my Lord. I just don't know how, but I want to be close to you somehow or other. And he may pray. And at that time, he can fall down before Lord Nityananda and say, I believe, I have heard that you are that manifestation of the Lord who is most merciful. Now I'm falling down before you. I've heard you are ecstatic with love and you don't distinguish between who's qualified and not qualified. Please give me your mercy. See, on the first stage, once the devotee says, I want to do it, I want to do everything. Second stage, the devotee said, it didn't give me the results. If I'm true, I don't want to do it any longer. In the third stage, the devotee has understood my concepts, which I had originally, did not help me. Krishna is beyond concepts. He cannot be thought by the material mind. And what I understand and what I understood at that time was something about Krishna, which is not really understanding the real Krishna, only my thoughts about Krishna. The devotee understand at the beginning, I also thought by my efforts, by my own sadhana, I can somehow make Krishna appear before me or come in my life. But this would mean you are stronger. You can will or act God into your life. That is not the fact. In the second stage, you made a step back. The third stage means the stage from where real Krishna consciousness can be born. The stage where you understand on my own, with my concepts, with my own efforts, I can't do it. You are confused. Do you know that confusion is good? Because it eradicates your mistaken concepts, your conditioned concepts. And now you can wish, I don't know how, my Lord. I'm very humbled. I'm very incapable. Now I can pray for your mercy, and you do everything. This surrender, this understanding of our own helpless situation is the prerequisite. You understand this word? Prerequisite in Deutsch, Vorausbedingung. You might have to, if you're not English by tongue, and or if you can't understand my maybe I mispronounced the word. This is the condition you need to have to really fall down. Prabhupada speaks about this. Our movement teaches that the beginning of real spiritual life is surrender. If there's no surrendering, then there's no advancement. Savadamang parityaja mangekang sharanam vraja. This is the beginning. If that thing is lacking, there is not even a beginning. What to speak of advancement? That I have discussed already. Na sasidim avapnoti, na sukam na param gatim. No? Someone who has not surrendered doesn't get the perfection. He doesn't even get happiness, nor what to speak of the highest goal. This is the beginning of spiritual life. The word is disciple. Disciple means who accepts discipline. If there is no discipline, where is the disciple? This, we say disciplic succession. We have used this word, not that discipline is finished by one man. No, not that Prabhupada says, not that I'm doing my discipline. No, it will continue to go by succession. He says, you all will carry this on. That is perfect. Surrender sometimes seems so hard. To come to this third level where you understand, well, my own efforts, my own concepts don't help me, nor do I become happy if I go into compromise or if I go against God. But to surrender, to fall before Lord Nityananda, to just go down, fall down before him, ye age padaya, tari karaye nishta. That's difficult. And Prabhupada addressed this, and I was sharing this with you in the past, but I think because it's such an important point, I want to repeat it. There was once a young man who came into an association of devotees, and at the end of the lecture, the devotees bowed down to Srila Prabhupada, paid their obeisances. We do this regularly. I think about 98% of you will bow down before they leave the temple room today. It will happen here also, touching with the head the floor as a sign of submission. So the man saw this, and he was a new person, and he was appalled. He was shocked. Do you remember your own reaction when you saw for the first time the devotees going down on the ground? I remember myself. I just, is this something to do with me here? Or I was really, really confused. I thought they had, no, then I thought they had lost something. And then I thought, let me help. Let me be a gentleman. So I searched on the floor, but the floor was clean. I could not understand what was there. So this man said to Prabhupada was just there, I just don't want to do that. I don't want to bow down to anyone. This is not done. Prabhupada said, you are already bowing down. You're bowing down to death. You're bowing down to disease. Hare Krishna. You're bowing down to old age. You're bowing down to so many things. You are forced. And still you are thinking, I cannot bow down. I don't like this. So the question is, Prabhupada said now something very beautiful. The question is, where shall I be happy when I bow down? That is Krishna. Have you noted when you have the darshan of the deities, you're moved, and then you go down on the floor, then you're even more moved and more Krishna conscious. Have you noticed? You become actually happy. I remember when my father was for the first time coming, my physical father coming for the first time to the temple and saw me bowing down, he just was speechless. I mean, he was the communication man of the German railway, also der Pressesprecher der Bundesbahn. He's normally not speechless, but he couldn't say. He just looked at me. And then he said, did I just see you getting on your knees and touching the floor with your head? Did you just do this, or did I just imagine something? Maybe I'm a little überreizt. I said, no, I did. Can you please explain me why? what you did? And so on. It's not easy for the conditioned soul to bow down, to surrender, to admit I'm helpless, because all we try is to somehow manage our life, to somehow, that's what we learn. Once Srila Prabhupada had a meeting with two very well-known people at that time, John Lennon and Yoko Ono. There was a long discussion. They had spoken about gurus who do not praise the Lord, who has given them everything. And Prabhupada says, if a peon means, what is a peon? Briefträger, what is another word in English? Postman. If a postman, you say, comes to your door, but he doesn't know anything about the post office. What kind of peon or postman is he? No. What type of letters will he give you if he has no idea of the source from where all this letters which he brings come? So at that time, a devotee said to John Lennon and Yoko Ono, who wanted obviously that they surrendered, that they learn from Prabhupada. Obviously, you are not satisfied yet with what you found. That's why you're here and you're listening to Prabhupada. Now, listen to John Lennon's answer. He said, yes, we got to go around. I know people that have been wandering around for years, seeking gurus and spiritual teachers. I mean, it's doing them all quite well. You know, they have not yet surrendered. So when Prabhupada heard this, he said, good, bring prasadam. They had not the prerequisite to listen to spiritual knowledge. I mean, obviously, Prabhupada continued to talk polite to them. The beginning of Krishna consciousness is to understand, yes, on my own, I cannot do, and to bow down. And Lord Nityananda, he accepts this. This is the only thing he needs to say. And this is explained so nicely in this verse. If you want to read it, I can indicate it to you. Prema Mata Nityananda, that's the first verse, which we heard. It's in Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 5, verse 208. And the next is Yage Padaya Tore. He delivers all those who fall down before him. Ask yourself, have I already fallen down? When you fall down, it's not just the body. The more important is the heart and the mind, where you declare your helplessness, where you say, I think sometimes we are, and I'm speaking for myself here, we are still convinced that yes, a few things I can, but I can also do a few things. I have some, I know to speak some language. I can see, and all this is true. But who gave you the abilities? Who gave you the eyes to see and the brain to understand and so on? Declaring our dependence on the Lord is the first sign of waking up. Declaring that I am dependent on you means we wake up from the illusion of being independent. So, yes. So the question is, okay, this is what we need to do to get Lord Nityananda. Is there anything else we can do, something to enhance it? And yes, Prabhupada gave a very nice hint. I think he based this on a song of Narottam Das Thakur, Parama Karuna. I think we will ask Krishna to sing this during the festival. Prabhupada said, to approach Radha and Krishna, you need the mercy of Lord Caitanya. And to get the mercy of Lord Caitanya, you need the mercy of Nityananda. You know everything. And to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda, now it is a question. What to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda? One thing is to fall down before him and pray to him sincerely. But the other is you have to approach people who are fallen and who need help. You have to approach Jagai and Madai. My dear devotees, there's a secret of Bhakti which every one of you here in the online situation and in the temple room and so on. It's a secret which I was always shy to say because I thought it's only my secret. Why should I ask others to do what I do? But I found just a few days before I finished the preparation of this lecture, I found a quotation of the Bhakti Ratnaka, which says, when you give bhakti to others, your bhakti increases. This is here the direct quote. Devotion or bhakti is the property of a devotee, but it is a hidden treasure. It becomes available to him or her only when he or she helps another person to acquire bhakti. Then you get bhakti. Do you feel it in your heart? I can well imagine when Krishna on that day walked out of the library in Brussels and thought of the person in that room, in the cellar room. He must have felt very elated, very Krishna conscious, very full of bhakti. No, you could feel it. See, you all have bhakti, but it may be a hidden treasure at times. It becomes available to you the moment you help others or another person to acquire it. Don't we all know this? When we go to someone and give them this plate of prasadam and we feel, wow, my God, I'm so blissful. I remember being in, at that time they were called open air festivals, where there were was a lot of music and people went to entertain themselves, and they drank a lot of beer, and they also used various substances to get high. And I remember preaching to these people, sometimes to people who were violent, sometimes for people who had a cup of beer in their head also, but in their hand, I wanted to say, who were dirty, who were smelling, who had not taken shower, and who had sweated, and some were naked and their bodies were caked with mud in which they had rolled under the influence of some substance and so on. And I'm a little sensitive by nature, but when I preached to people and shared bhakti, and they got it, they got the point, and they went, yes, oh my God, how do I do this? Yes, say after me. And then I gave them the mantra, the sacred mantra, and they were respectful. And then I went to the bus with them and gave them the japa mala and said, you please do it like this. And here is also a book, Science of Self-Realization. Just give a little to help out with the printing cost. And, and the people very gratefully, wow, you're so generous to me. And afterwards they wrote letters. Can we talk more? I have questions, and so on. You felt really blissful. Everyone has experienced this, because you now could discover your own hidden treasure. It's all you know. You remember the time, every one of you is great souls. You have wonderful experiences in Krishna consciousness, but they get covered over by the influence of the material energy. This is natural. Prabhupada once said, the mirror in the car, when you drive with the mirror, the side mirrors through a muddy road, the mud will splash on the mirror, and the mirror you cannot see the images clearly in the mirror. And he used this as an example for everyone. When we go through this world, our consciousness gets sullied, it gets contaminated, it gets covered. All this, even by by the elements in our body. All of a sudden, there may be too much vata or too much kapha or too much pitta. Just by staying in this world, you will meet unpleasant things, and some are so strong that they overwhelm you. So in this way, the bhakti which is in you may become hidden, and you might not even see it yourself, but it becomes available to you the moment you help another person get bhakti. Yes, this is the mood of our sampradaya. This is very nice. I'm thinking today at the beginning of this festival, this will be my last point for today, then we can see if there are any questions. I'm thinking of Srila Prabhupada, who came as a messenger of Lord Nityananda. I don't know if you knew this little detail, but Srila Prabhupada is born in a family of a great devotee of Lord Nityananda, Sri Udharan Datta. And as a child, Srila Prabhupada would often with his father, go on bullock cart to that village. It's called Saptagram, and they would celebrate the festivals. This is a village which is totally and exclusively dedicated to the worship of Lord Nityananda. So to understand this mood of giving mercy, which is integral to Lord Nityananda, and see this mood in Srila Prabhupada, we can best go to his poem, Makina Bhagavad Dhamma, a poem which he wrote when he arrived in Boston Harbor, America, in 65. He said, he sang, "My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here to America. Now, you please do with me whatever you like." Then he continued. I will jump over. It's a beautiful poem. If you can read the whole thing, that will be very nice. And he addresses Krishna. He says, "Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I'm sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions." Prabhupada has faith. When this Krishna, when you give your mercy, my words will have power, Shakti, and they will make people happy and gladdened, and they become freed from unhappy conditions in life. And then he says, "Oh Lord, I'm just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, oh Lord. Make me dance as you like." Now, Prabhupada later said, he was asked, how do you bring these so many people to Krishna consciousness, to Bhakti? He says, "I'm dragging these devotees out of the gutter." Gutter ist sowas wie Abfluss. Abflussrohr. I'm dragging them out of this, material existence, and so on. And so to connect with Lord Nityananda today, well, I would say, when is his appearance day? On Monday, isn't it? Monday. So Monday, please do this. Fall down. Maybe you first. You can do this if you like to do it in private, you can see when the temple room is free, and you can come, or if you don't mind, if you fall down with others, then you please do. And the second thing is, try to not think of yourself only. That's anyways not the real self which we can think of at the moment. Try to do something to benefit others. Then the bhakti will become more pronounced or more clear in you. I wish all of you online, sometimes I look at the altar, so I've looked right over the camera. Sometimes I look to the devotees here in the room, the few who are with us, because it is mainly an online festival. And yeah, so I really want to wish you a wonderful Nityananda appearance day. I request you during this this festival to turn to Lord Nityananda from time to time and pray sincerely to him. Let me just once again say this prayer. Please say after me. Jaya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Nityananda. Nityananda Roy. Aparada papamora. Aparada papamora. Taha nahika ora. Taha nahika ora. O Lord Nityananda Roy, glory, glory to you. Please do not think of my sins and offenses, but kindly deliver me. O Lord Nityananda. Like this, no? Fine. So I am finished. I'm now looking at the thing here at the screen. I think we have 15 minutes for questions. Is that true? Or are we already over time?
No, yes,
Plenty of time, yeah. Acha. So we have time, in other words. Good. So let me see. Harisyam, do you have anything?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, thank you so much for this wonderful lecture and for really highlighting the two ways in which we can get Lord Nityananda's mercy by first coming to a stage of being authentic, realizing our dependence on the Lord, and by sharing mercy with others, by bhakti with others. So thank you really for highlighting these 2 points. We have a few questions. The first question is from Govinda Nandan Prabhu, and his question is, Bhakti is described as tenderness of the heart oriented towards Krishna. I'll repeat that. Bhakti is described as tenderness of the heart oriented towards Krishna. How do you describe this tenderness of the heart, dear Guru Maharaj?
Wonderful. This is a definition for Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu from Rupa Goswami. And wonderful. Thank you for this question. Tenderness of heart. It means, how can I serve you, Krishna? This particular, when you stand before God, that's your question. That's the tenderness of your heart. How can I serve you? There's a beautiful, beautiful description in a rare book by Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur. It's about a soul who returns back to Godhead and for the first time sees Radha and Krishna. It's very interesting. The soul is overwhelmed by the darshan and asks himself, is this a rain cloud? thinking of Krishna. No, a rain cloud is not that beautiful. And it does not rain compassion, but I can feel there's a lot of compassion coming. So he asks a few questions. I have just now forgotten the exact quotations, and then the soul looks to Radharani and asks this other question: Is this the personified form of love? Is this Lakshmi? You know, the soul is clearly overwhelmed and confused. Yes, he must have seen a lot of pictures of Krishna and heard a lot of descriptions and lectures, but all the Krishna looks totally different. And therefore the question, is this? Is this a black tamal tree was one of the questions. No, but the tree doesn't move, and so on. And then after asking a series of questions to himself or herself, the soul just looks at the deities, at divinities, you know, the Radha and Krishna, and says, how can I serve you? I just want to serve you. This is the tenderness of the heart. Maybe when we hear this, we don't feel necessarily a tenderness. You know, in our movement, we have a few slogans which we don't necessarily fill with the deepest meaning. We often ask other devotees, how can I serve you, Prabhu? Or when we are in a call center, let us say, then the question of the person in the call center to us is, how may I serve you, sir? And this may not necessarily come with a tenderness of heart when this, how can I serve you, is asked in this word. But when it is asked to Radha and Krishna, it is tenderness of heart, and that is the meaning of chanting. You are supposed to chant with tears in your eyes, and the expression there in your heart is, please accept me in your service. It's really a tenderness that brings tears into your eyes. That is that tenderness of the heart. It's a spontaneous, natural softening of the heart that flows towards Krishna, almost like if butter softens, it flows in a certain direction, no? It melts and then flows. So the heart melts and then flows towards Krishna, and with love and with devotion. Remember, it's called not call center service, it's called devotional service. No? It has a different quality altogether. It has devotion in it. That is the tender feeling of the heart. Thank you. Well, wonderful question. Yes. Harisyam, another question, please.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. This question comes from Kunja Bihari Prabhu, and it has to do with the second stage of bhakti that you were describing, where one can compromise. And his question is, what is the difference between a compromised spiritual life and a spiritual life where we adjust by our nature and circumstances, because we cannot always be like enthusiastic when we were in the beginning. So we have to make some adjustments according to our nature. What is the difference between that and compromising?
The devotee who sees, well, now I may not be able to do what I was doing when I was young. I can't always get up that early. I do not chant that many rounds any longer. I just can't maintain the intensity which I had as a young person, but I want to do bhakti and I believe in the ideal of bhakti. Let me just adjust my schedule to the capability of my body and my mind so that I can last. He still believes in the ideal. He is thinking of Krishna. He's praying to Krishna. He wants Krishna. But the compromised devotee doesn't want that. Remember, in the first stage, one says, I want this. And in the second stage, because of disappointment, one says, I don't want this. Therefore, it's a different mood altogether. One sincere cry, even by a person who may be an invalid and cannot do so many things, it's worth a million other efforts. This, if the sincere cry comes from the heart. And we often see this. We see when we are in Vrindavan, there are places where old people, very old people, gather, and they can't do so many things. They had to adjust their lives totally. They may be in bed for many times, but when you meet them, there's so much bhakti in their heart. No? They still want Krishna very much with heart and soul. I hope this answers the question. I realize there may be other facets to your questions and angles, and if we meet, we can discuss these things which I do not know, which there maybe which have to do with the question. Yeah, thank you. Is there such nice question?
Yes, wonderful question from Kuch Bihari Prabhu. Our next question is from Vijay Mahita Prabhu, and he would like to ask his question himself. So Ikanti, if you can please unmute him. He would like to ask his question on the camera.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, thank you so much for such a wonderful class. I really like the point that how helplessness is the prerequisite for Krishna consciousness, and how Nityananda Prabhu is so merciful that he does not distinguish between whether a person is sinful or sinless. Maharaj, my question is that how to deal with the people who, because of lack of knowledge, are offensive or hostile towards devotees? Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. First of all, Vijay Mehta was a Mataji. We now know. So, welcome. Yes, when a person is on the opposite scale, I think the first reaction, where he is not able to fall down and is just raging against God and the devotees and and may make offenses. I think the first reaction of a kind devotee should be, behind all his heavy words, he's saying something else. I'm so disappointed. I want, and I'm suffering because of this. So this is how the devotee prefers to think in the beginning. And often a person who is aggressive and offensive changes when he sees or she sees that the devotee is not returning an eye for an eye, so to say, is not taking revenge. They can, often there is pain behind all this. And if the pain is recognized, and if the pain is dealt with, then there is sometimes a chance to help a person to move away from this terrible, this bitterness and this criticism. Now, if it is not possible, and if the person is just insisting to continue in his or her ways, it is best for devotees to ignore this person. There are two. This is kindness, when you ignore a person who is just very bitter and so on, he calms down. But if you are always stay in front of them, and engage in discussion, the ego becomes even more increased. So the word for ignore, a better word could be to disengage. I will say it again because my pronunciation is sometimes not so good. To disengage, not to discontinue the engagement with that person. I know, I have met people who were very critical towards Krishna consciousness, and I did not visit them for 2 years, 3 years, or I did not talk with them. And then after some time, they calmed down and they could rationally, they reviewed everything and they came to another conclusion. I know even sometimes older devotees have become so critical towards Prabhupada, but when they were left alone after 3 years, or takes sometimes long, the criticism stopped and they turned around, because they can see even an offensive person after some time. The voice of the soul is there, and the natural recognition is there of what is good and what is bad. But so in the first instance, we should see there's only pain behind this, and the second instance, when they just do not want to change their ways, then it's best in their interest and in the whole interest of the whole situation to disengage. Good. Now, we have more time.
Yes, and we have another question.
We are millionaires in time.
Yes. Now from go ahead, you can ask your question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances. Is my voice audible, Prabhu?
Yes, your audio is very good.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for this wonderful lecture. I was just focusing on one point which you had kindly mentioned, that to not think about ourselves while focusing on serving others, to feel bliss of Krishna consciousness in our heart. So I really feel this when I'm serving devotees, when I'm preaching them, I feel that bliss in my heart. But at the same time, everything requires a balance. So sometimes while serving devotees, I lose my balance between my personal nourishment and serving others. And sometimes the time for introspection and going deep in Krishna consciousness, I feel it very less. So Maharaj, how to balance that? Because time and capacity is limited, but while preaching, everybody requires a lot of investment. So in initial days of young devotees, we have to invest a lot. So I had this one question. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yes, when we overextend ourselves, we become exhausted. And when we are exhausted, we just cannot actually do anything for others. It's called it has a word, it's called compassion fatigue. It is seen in social workers a lot who are, and nurses who are taking care of others so much and then totally neglect themselves and come to a point of burnout, really. Or the term here is compassion fatigue. So we have introduced long ago a model which is very important for devotees, for people. It's called the tree of life. A healthy tree needs roots, a trunk, and a crown. Only when the roots are strong and the trunk is strong, then the crown can have fruits. If the roots are weak and eaten by rats, and if the trunk is without any bark and sick, this tree is fruitless. So a preacher or any human being needs to have enough spiritual strength. His roots must be very strong. He must have some physical and mental balance, and then he can do the work easily. Of course, sometimes we may be weak, sometimes we may be mental, and still we can help others. But if we burn out, we have to go from the preaching field. I myself did this now. I was for 10 days in a panchakarma treatment by the help of some very, very generous and kind devotees, because I had seen over these 2 years of traveling less and working very hard on the writing table, I had become very so many things in the body did not work and were painful and dysfunctional. And then I said, well, how can I help people when I myself am just living from one day to the next? Let me take some Ayurvedic treatment against this, and then I'm ready. So this is tree of life, simple tree of life. You know, be a little bit introspective and see when you reach that point where you need to really fill up your own batteries, and then do it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
I think we will now take the last question.
Okay, Guru Maharaj, we have one last question from Aditya Narayan Prabhu in North Carolina. Aditya Narayan Prabhu, would you like to ask your question to Guru Maharaj?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, just my humble obeisances. All Guru Krishna Prabhupada.
We can see you.
Yes, thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you for the wonderful class that really, helped prepare our consciousness how to approach Nityananda Trayodashi. My question, Maharaj, is when we are doing our regular sadhana, seva, we are engaged in services. Somehow I feel that just that mood of everyday doing our sadhana and seva, it kind of covers that mood of feeling that utter dependence on Krishna. It's almost that when our sadhana is not so good, we can cry more for Krishna. Krishna, please help, I'm struggling now. But when we are doing our regular, it almost feels that there's some kind of maybe just that feeling of doing that sadhana, covering our utter dependence. Can you speak a few words? How can we break that and feel that utter dependence even when we are engaged in our regular sadhana and seva? Thank you so much, man.
Hare Krishna, yes. I think the reason why our sadhana becomes where we don't feel any devotion and any urgency any longer and no real need to cry for Krishna is because it has become monotonous. It has become, so repetitive that we almost don't recognize it any longer as something special. And there is no feeling in it any longer. I would like to give you an example. I was in Radhadesh before I went to this treatment, and we had, every one of us was required to sing a minimum of 8 hours a day. We were just in the kirtan, not moving anywhere, singing either in the chorus, because that was also an online festival, and we needed some devotees to be in the chorus. So I sang there, and it was definitely, I gave my best to sing in a devotional mood, but in one kirtan I fell asleep. I found out, oops, it's already over. What happened? I was sleeping. Other times I was distracted, and so on. Yes. Then I went to the clinic, and Aditi Narayan, believe it or not, because I was now in a different situation. There were no instruments around me. Not one single devotee was there, at least not a practicing devotee. There was just a clinic atmosphere. And I thought, well, I want to be in Krishna consciousness here. Aditi Narayan, I was singing the whole day and not falling asleep. And even when I was sleeping, listen to this. When I was sleeping, in my sleep, the chanting continued. I knew this because, when you get out of your sleep, the sleep becomes a little bit like the morning dawn. You start to move out of the darkness of the sleep. And I was singing, and from that, and I felt so blissful. I thought I sang the whole, and subconsciously I sang, because I had broken through something that was repetitive. I hope this is the right English word, repetitive. It repeats itself over and over again. It was totally different circumstances. It was kirtan without any instrument. Yes. And so on. And even the therapists felt it. They started to they started to say Hare Krishna. One bought a whole Bhagavatam set. I had not said a word. I was just singing in the therapy, in my mind, not loud, because you're supposed to be silent in the therapy, and the therapists were also supposed to be silent. But the chanting can also go in the mind, and it was. I was thinking, wow, it really works. The sound, the vibration really gets to the people, even when it's not verbalized or sung out loud. And everyone said Hare Krishna, and I had not even said that I'm a Hare Krishna. I had come with my, because the very official, everything had to be very official. I had come with my passport name. Of course one can see I was dressed in dhoti, so no, I always forget. For me, dhoti is so normal that I don't think of it that I'm dressed differently than others. Yes, so you have to break the monotony, and you can break it in various ways. You can read something you have never read before. You can have a discussion with the devotee who you rarely meet and discuss. You can go on a walk and make a kirtan in nature. There is this nice walking way in Hillsborough, which you have introduced to us. You can take a book with you in nature when you are free, and read the book and pray something to break out of the monotony. There is there is a saying, every day think a new thought, every second day approach a person you have not approached, every third day sing and laugh and dance, and then go to a place where you have not gone before. Something like this. This is a recommendation which comes from the Dalai Lama, because he also, with the monks in Buddhism, also do always the same thing, and he also has to give people an advice how to break through the monotony. Do it in a Krishna conscious way. Go on pilgrimage, which I know you do regularly. Visit temples, and so on. Monotony is dangerous if you don't yet feel ecstatic love of Krishna. If you don't feel ecstatic love of Krishna, monotony is very dangerous because it takes away the taste and the appreciation of that this is special. What I do to break through the monotony, I say prayers. When I see my chanting gets not good, I have a songbook, or I have prayer books, I have other books which are recommended, like Bhajan Rahasya, to be read while chanting. Bhaktivinoda Thakur would say these verses regularly when he chanted his japa, and just that somehow break the monotony, of course, in a Krishna conscious way, not you're chanting, okay, my chanting is mechanically. Maybe I should read a Superman comics, or so. Not like that, of course. In a Krishna conscious way, break the monotony. And then the taste comes there. Or Aditi Narayan, share Krishna consciousness with others. One thing which always works is take some books in your arm and go to the people on the shopping center, and you will start trembling after some time. Trembling means with excitement or with anything. You will not stay the same. Do something to help others. Hare Krishna. I have many other tips, but some I'm too shy to. I can talk about what I'm shy. When I feel absolutely useless and monotonous, I sing kirtan and dance. I like to dance. I dance since I'm a child, so dancing and then singing for Krishna works magical for me. I really break the cobweb. But I don't want to say that everyone should. Why not? Chanting, dancing. Have you ever heard about this? This is good. Hare Krishna. But I recognize it's not everyone's cup of tea to dance alone in the room. I recognize this, therefore it's not a general recommendation for those where it works. Just the idea is break the monotony. Good. So I think, let me first of all look at time passes so fast. Thank you for your questions, by the way. It makes everything, it churns the nectar. Let us keep churning the nectar over these coming few days. Tomorrow I have something really exciting prepared. Oops, I always hear yes, but it's this is our MC will tell us maybe tomorrow. Now, Harishyam, I give it over to you. Please guide us. There's, I think, one last point today.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for that wonderful lecture and also to all those amazing questions. So much practical and insightful spiritual advice. So now we have darshan with the deities. We'll get the blessings of Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan. Before that, we have two small practical announcements. Guru Maharaj mentioned many prayers in today's lecture, and we'll be posting them for all of you tomorrow in the chat. And also tomorrow morning, Guru Maharaj will again be giving Katha at 8 o'clock in the morning, German time. So again, thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, and all the devotees for those wonderful questions. We will now have darshan of Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan and Shri Shri Gaur Nitai to receive their blessings for this festival. So thank you again.
Harishyam, may I just ask one short thing? Can the devotees see the entire schedule? Oh yeah, you have received the schedule, which we have here. Good. There you know what is happening. Good. Thank you. It's answered. Yeah. Is it possible live or I think better with music for them? I think what we should do is, can we do music for the kirtan for the online people? Yeah. And we can.
You just have to stay with the microphones so that you have the proper sound. I mean, the microphone can be brought in front, but that's the only consideration for having proper sound.
Then we will do here. Yes. Hare Krishna. So I would like to sing a brief kirtan. If you can, please do stay here. I want to say something after this to all of you in real time. Yes, you can please all turn towards the deities. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everybody, one more time, please. A little louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Bol.